warm welcome to our special report, the program that gets you a ground zero view from whichever part of the country the Rajya Sabha TV cameras are travelling. This week we are touring the dry lands of Maharashtra, the state which is facing one of its worst droughts since the last 4 decades. How has the drought impacted the livelihoods of the people? What are the relief and the rehabilitation measures extended by the government? Over the next 30 minutes, we'll take a closer look at all these issues. Mile after mile, vast stretches of parched land. That's the story of almost a third of Maharashtra, which is facing the worst drought in 4 decades. With more than 2 crore people affected, some 13,000 villages are thirsting for water. Rajya Sabha TV crew travelled to the interiors of the worst affected Marathwada region and found shocking stories of this natural calamity. Enter the Doudna district of the Marathwada region. Finding water is one of the many daunting challenges for people. Women wait for hours near hand pumps to get a few liters of water. Long queues are a common sight. There is nothing more important in these dry lands than the quest for a glass of water.
I have not cooked food for the last 5 days and neither has anybody in my house taken shower. The whole day is spent in commuting between the house and the hand pump when we are collecting buckets of water.
According to the household surveys conducted by the World Bank, the average time spent in collecting water by the rural households in Maharashtra is about 2 hours. Using opportunity cost principles, this translates to about 12 rupees per household per day. But this cost exponentially increases during the summertime when the sources dry up. Tankers supplying water in the interiors have been nothing less than lifesavers. But people complain that their services have not been regular.
How should we live without water? How does one live his or her life? You only tell me.
Life in these drought-affected villages revolves around collecting water. School children have been bearing the brunt of it. They either have stopped going to school or leave their classrooms halfway. I am with a set of school children who have just come out of their classrooms to fill their pots with drinking water because there is a severe scarcity. Let's talk to a few children now. आपका नाम क्या है?
पूजा।
अच्छा पूजा, ये बताओ आप क्लास से बाहर निकल कर आते हो, क्या करने के लिए आते हो?
पानी भरने के लिए आते हैं।
तो आपके मास्टर जी आपको क्या बोलते हैं?
डांटते, लेकिन क्या करें, पानी ही नहीं है।
आप कितना पानी भरते हो क्लासरूम्स के बीच में? दो हांडी भर के लेके जाते हो। मास्टर जी कुछ बोलते नहीं है?
डांटते हैं, मगर क्या?
Till last year, Maharashtra government had 250 water tankers to distribute water in rural areas. The number is about to cross 4,000 this year.
Suppose we can take every day a railway with 40-50 big tankers to Marathwada, then to some part of Sangli, some part of Satara, some part of Sholapur also. Because these are the very chronic situations I am telling you.
Right now we are on the banks of river Godavari, and the structure which you see behind me is the Dhalegaon check dam. Experts say that with only 13% water reserves remaining, Marathwada is already scraping the bottom of the barrel when the peak summer season has not yet set in, when the demands would go through the roof. Marathwada region has a basaltic terrain. There is water underground, but because of lack of natural and artificial recharge, the groundwater level has gone down. Most of the bore wells have gone dry. Almost 70% of the state's villages, which account for about 28,000 villages, water is either not available within 500 meters or is not available within 15 meters below the ground or is simply not potable. The situation in Aurangabad and Osmanabad districts is alarming. Tap water is barely available twice a month. Even the thousands of private tankers are not enough to meet the needs of the two districts that have 40 lakh people. Even more worrying is the fact that having exhausted groundwater nearby, these tankers are driving further afield in search of water to draw and sell.
हमारे एरिया में तो पानी ही नहीं आता है इधर। ये हम बाहर रहते इधर सादत कॉलोनी में, तो पानी की बहुत प्रॉब्लम होता है।
अच्छा, तो कैसे लाते हो आप पानी?
हम दूसरे से इधर उधर से बाहर से पानी मंगा लेते हैं टैंकर से।
इधर उधर मतलब आप सिटी में जाते हो पानी लेने के लिए?
नहीं, दूसरे के टैंकर से इससे उससे पानी मंगा लेते हैं।
एक टैंकर 500-600 रुपये लेता है।
500-600 रुपये का।
Amidst parched and dry fields in whichever districts I went, I came across check dams like these, which have been built under the government initiative, in which the farmers have also contributed financially to it. But let me tell you that for the last 2 years, the rainfall has been skewed, and the farmers here say that till last year, the water in these check dams was full up to the brim. But this year, if the rainfall is not adequate, the water will not be left for cultivation. There is no other option, as the dams of the state have only 35% water left for the summer. Last year during the same time, they had 40% water. Some of the major dams in the state, including Jayakwadi and Ujjani, have almost exhausted their entire storage. This has given rise to the demand that these dams be refilled by releasing water from the northwest region. According to the government data, there is now one borewell for every 5 people. Borewells are expensive, but rich farmers, especially the ones growing grapes and pomegranates, dug deeper after the monsoon failed. Digging the borewells crossed the permissible legal limit, and farmers dug up to 1,500 feet, and now the borewells have been banned. This place where we are right now is actually the largest river of the Marathwada region, the Doudna River, which used to supply water to areas like Jalna, Aurangabad and Parbhani. This river is completely dried up, and that particular structure which you see behind me just a few meters away from here is the Lower Doudna River project, which was built up for the irrigation purposes, where hundreds of crores of money was spent. But the irony is that river project is also shut. The immediate impact of the drought has been a significant drop in the amount of crops sown, which will translate into lower incomes for farmers and farm labourers. Enter the Marathwada region and you'll come across several tales of misery and deprivation. Right now we are at the Takli village of the Parbhani district, which is one of the worst affected areas of the Marathwada region. The lives and the livelihoods of the people have almost come to a standstill. Aba Sahib Shimple, a resident of the Bhori village of the Parbhani district, was a prosperous farmer 2 years ago. But deficient rainfall coupled with a consecutive drought forced him to commit suicide as he lost all his earnings, leaving behind his wife to suffer with 3 small kids.
बच्चे घर को औरत भी घर को यहाँ से कोई उसके दिमाग में चल रहा था कि कुछ तो अपना करना करके
उसी टेंशन से
वो गए खेत में जा तो बोले मैं जवारी ये देखता है जवारी वो भी खराब हो गई ना तो हमने बोले खेत में जाएंगे अब कहाँ जाएंगे खेत में गए तो हमको सुबह मालूम होगा क्या ऐसा होगा।
Among the other crops, sugarcane, sweet lime, pomegranate and jawar have got wiped out. And farmers like Radhakrishan Chalak are now burning their dried up yield every day, hoping for a decent compensation from the government.
ये मौसमी का खेत था, पानी की वजह से पूरा का पूरा नुकसान हो गया और कम से कम 1 एकड़ में इसको समझो हर साल के लिए 1 लाख से ऊपर मिलता है। अभी एक साल के लिए 1 लाख बोले तो कम से कम 10 साल आगे हर चलने वाला भाग था। 10 से 12 लाख से मेरा नुकसान हो गया है।
Enter another village, you'll come across another story of devastation. Sakharamji Samle had 15 acres of prime cash crop of sweet lime, but his orchard now is all parched and destroyed. आपने ये नर्सरी भी बनाई थी, एक हाईटेक आप बता रहे थे, वो एज एन एडिशनल इनकम हो रहा था।
एडिशनल इनकम था मेरा।
और इस हाईटेक नर्सरी में भी अब कुछ नहीं बचा है?
नहीं, कुछ भी कर नहीं सके, थोड़ा बहुत किया था वो भी नुकसान हो गया।
Maharashtra is one of the largest producers of sugarcane in the country, and most of the crop is grown in rain shadow areas using canal water. With drought-like conditions prevailing in these areas, experts are worried about this crop.
Droughts will come. Hopefully there will be fewer, but unfortunately with climate change they might actually become more frequent. So what we've got to do is to plan to deal with them when they come.
Climatic change, actually, water conservation measures we do require. Unless the rainfall distribution is well over a period of time, in a small rainfall events and almost daily or alternate day, suppose the rainfall is there, that's okay. But since last few years, the rainfall distribution has got very skewed pattern. Hardly we get 3 to 4 big rainfall events.
These vessels with water are so heavy that obviously I can't put it on the head and walk. But let me help these women who have to walk up to a distance of around 5 kilometers. So you can imagine the extent of drudgery they have to go through. Let's take a break at this point in time. Return with lots more. Welcome back. You're watching our special report on the drought in Maharashtra. We've reached the district of Beed, which accounts mostly for its horticulture crops and sugarcane plantations. This barren land, parched land which you see behind me, befittingly encompasses the story of this district. But just to share a little experience with you, as I speak, my throat is slaked and parched. This harsh sun which you see above me indicates a temperature of about 41 to 42 degrees when the actual summer has not set in. These small tenements are inhabited by the labourers who've migrated from their villages because there was no water.
ये पानी से वजह से ही गया ना। अभी कुछ नहीं, पानी नहीं गिरा इस साल में, जिसलिए आए ना पानी।
अभी यहाँ पे आप क्या काम करते हो?
हम रोड का काम करते हैं।
और अपने गांव में क्या करते थे?
अभी आए सब मजदूरी करके खाते हैं।
It would be wrong to say that there is widespread migration happening because of the drought. The affected villages where we went, of course, some people were moving from one village to the other in search of employment, but always in the hope of coming back after the rains. Many parched villages of Maharashtra are generally located in what is known as the rain shadow areas that gets less rainfall and therefore perennially faces water shortages.
I think it is true that Maharashtra has spent a lot of money in irrigation. There are a lot of uncompleted works lying around, and they spread their resources too thin. And in many ways, I think the Maharashtra irrigation story is not just an incomplete story, it was also a story which I think they overplanned for.
The geographical and the meteorological conditions in the state of Maharashtra also contribute to drought. Experts say that the Deccan Plateau constitutes about 50% of the drought-prone areas. Once in every 5 years, deficient rainfall is reported, and therefore the drought-like conditions emerge every 8 to 9 years. The crisis is affecting not just humans but animals too. Hardly any fodder is left with the farmers due to 3 successive years of crop failure. Crops were grown only in 22% of the total agricultural area due to low rainfall. Such has been the effect of the drought that in some places even that little sowing did not happen. To help cattle survive, the government has set up fodder camps in drought-affected areas. It's almost 9:30 in the night, and after a day-long shoot, this is the best way to relax. I'm right now at a cattle camp in the Jalna district of the Marathwada region, and let me tell you, these cattle whom you see, they have been left by their farmers at this camp to be manned and managed by the Agricultural Produce and Marketing Committee people. But just to give you a little piece of information, these cattle are given about 15 kg of green fodder and about 6 kg of dry fodder on rotation.
Near about 20 lakh of animals in this particular area are affected, and near about 1/3 of the population of Maharashtra is affected by the drought situation. So you can realize how vast is the situation of the drought situation in Maharashtra. Now our government on our own, and also with the support of the government of India also, at present now we have spent approximately 3,500 crores.
Industrial belt has not been left untouched by crisis emanating out of drought. We've reached Aurangabad, which is the largest city in the Marathwada region. Aurangabad is largely an industrial place where there are a number of distilleries, breweries and liquor industries which use water as a raw material. So how has the drought impacted these industries? Let's take a look. The water policy gives first priority to drinking requirements, then for agriculture and then to industries. Marathwada industrial belt, especially the distilleries, breweries and bottling plants, are facing a tough time as water supply has been cut by 30%. Industrialists say that they might have to shut shop during peak summer.
Currently, there is a water available nearby to the tune between something like 2 kilometers to 8 kilometers water is available. So the industry for the sake of production can buy the water. But as after that there will be a situation, the water which is available nearby, which will not be having quality, which can be processed. So they will have to go at a distance. And when the water bringing distance goes beyond 20 kilometers, it will become very challenging for those businesses to continue.
Apart from Marathwada and Pune region, parts of Vidarbha are also reeling under drought. While the government blames the crisis on 2 successive monsoons, the opposition says it's a result of public policy failure.
majority, 90% of the irrigation projects are incomplete. We've seen scans unfolding. We've seen the quality of work that is done. So I think this is a man-made situation, particularly by the government of Maharashtra. The NCP Congress government is here for ever since 1999. It's been over 13 years now, and they are totally responsible for this disaster.
मुझे पीने के लिए पानी होना है, मुझे हाथ को रोजगार होना है और मुझे खाने पीने के लिए व्यवस्था करना चाहिए, ये उनकी अपेक्षाएं हैं। ये सरकार पूरी तरह से फेल हो गई है ये व्यवस्थाएं करने में।
Time for a short break now. Don't go away. We'll come back with lots more on Maharashtra drought. Back in a moment. Welcome back. You're watching our special report on the drought in Maharashtra. Keeping in mind the deficiency of rainfall across India, including Maharashtra, UPA government has initiated several policy measures to mitigate the plight of the farmers, especially that of the small and the marginal farmers. Let's take a look. Diesel subsidy scheme for providing irrigation in drought-declared areas, enhancement of subsidy on seeds, upscaling the central sector scheme on feed and fodder, waiver of import duty on oil cakes. Additional allocation under Accelerated Fodder Development Program are a few measures to list. The memories of the 1972 drought remain clearly etched in the minds of the Maharashtrians. The human calamity in that dry year led the state government to launch a pioneering Food for Work program, which later became the beta version of the Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme. But apart from this, Maharashtra government has sought central assistance of 7,650 crore rupees. Interministerial central teams have visited Maharashtra, Kerala, Karnataka, Andhra, Rajasthan and Gujarat to assess the loss of kharif crops, as these states are also under the grip of drought. Centre has already approved 778 crore to Maharashtra from the National Disaster Response Fund. State government teams are already in the process of drought impact assessment so that eventually adequate compensation can be given to the affected farmers. Maharashtra government has earmarked 25% of its state budget on tackling the widespread drought. In fact, the government has proposed hike in taxes on cigarette, liquor and jewellery so that additional resources worth about 2,000 crore can be mopped up, which can be channelized towards the relief work.
जो सूखाग्रस्त किसान हैं, सूखाग्रस्त जो गरीब मजदूर है, वो सरकार ही कर सकती है ना कुछ उनके लिए। इसीलिए सरकार के तरफ ही दरखास्त करना पड़ता है उन लोगों को। कुछ तो दीजिए, सरकार ने भी दिया नहीं ऐसा नहीं है, दिया सरकार ने भी, लेकिन जितना देना चाहिए था उतना नहीं दिया है या मराठवाड़ा के किसानों के लिए या मराठवाड़ा के जो भी लोग हैं उनके लिए नहीं दिया उतना।
The government has asked the farmers to use drip irrigation to the maximum level as it would save water. Till now, farmers had mostly been using flood irrigation method, but after the scarcity of drinking water, many have started banking on drip irrigation. Now, Maharashtra government has made this drip irrigation facility mandatory for the sugarcane farmers and has also given them subsidy on this technique. In fact, other farmers have also started following the same technique. But when you come on the ground and speak to the farmers, they tell you that to maintain consistency for this technique, you have to switch on the motor pump for the whole day. But they become helpless at the hands of the depleting groundwater level. Experts say that if not handled with care, drought will take a toll on the state's development efforts, as a major portion of the budget would go towards mitigating the effects of drought. There is no denying the fact that a drought always has a devastating effect on the livelihoods of the farmers and the crops. And it's also a fact that the government has initiated several mitigating efforts, but those efforts are still in the process of getting percolated down on the ground level. So one needs to have patience. But what perhaps the biggest learning lesson a drought gives is that you need to conserve soil, you need to conserve water, given the fact that the water table is getting depleted every day. Time for us to wrap this edition of our special report, only in the hope that the coming rainy season fills up these cracks and makes them look lush green again. Goodbye and thanks for watching.